Welcome to another episode of LSU Live right here on the Voice of College Football Network. We're your hosts, Grant Sashray, Zachary Junda on the screen to the right. And make sure to like this video, subscribe to LSU at the Voice of College Football Network, and make sure to click on the bell for any future videos. We do our live show every Monday, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. And it's been a pretty eventful weekend, of course, Memorial Day weekend. So happy Memorial Day to everybody. And also, all my prayers go to anybody who's lost loved ones, who have served and who have died and fought to protect our country. And then also, Zach, the road to Omaha begins today, Zach. Zach, how was your weekend, and how excited you are for a little bit of some postseason baseball? Finally, one of the best times of the year, man.
Yeah, postseason baseball at the box after a year. It's been so long. You know, some fan bases, like professional fan, like the Lakers, kind of complain when it's like, oh, it's like been 4 years since we've won a title, and it's like, well, that's really not that bad. That's kind of what LSU baseball is with Omaha and hosting regionals. It's been a year. That's forever for most people. So really excited to be back at the box. Grant's probably going to be there. I might get up there because we're capital J journalists.
Capital J journalists.
And what's the phrase? It's not when you play, but sometimes it's who you play. And we're going to get into it. But LSU got a pretty favorable draw, especially for only being the 6th seed. We were talking right before we hit record. You could have done a whole lot worse. And this path, at least right now, is pretty favorable for you.
Yeah, no doubt, Zach. And like I said, even in 2023, when LSU, hosted the regional, it was you had Tulane, and that was a so-so Tulane that year. Like they're probably the worst team to ever make it to the postseason play. They were the last
19 wins,
like 18, 19 wins, and it was somehow got in the tournament because they won their conference tournament. Your 3rd seed was Sam Houston State, who was actually a solid program that year, and actually LSU did play them early in the year in the Round Rock Classic that they played in the Austin area. And then, of course, the number 2 seed was Oregon State, who was a fantastic Oregon State team. And really, if Paul Skidds doesn't pitch a complete game against Tulane, you probably would have wasted your bullpen. And then also Oregon State had a depleted pitcher rotation as well. So it just happened to work out in LSU's favor. But the thing about the reason why they were able to go to Omaha and not only go to Omaha but win the whole thing in 2023 was because of everything clicked with the bullpen. Of course, the LSU's offense was dynamic that year, and we'll discuss more about the key success for LSU if they want to go back to Omaha. And we'll also have some recruiting tidbits. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the recruiting world, and then also some of these camps are coming up for LSU that they'll host in June. And that's what's like June, July. Those 2 months are very important because you don't really have the same access to these recruits. But the best way to do so is through these camps. So a lot of times college schools just get to look at guys who are in the class of 2027, class of 2028, and class of 2029 for future guys they need to watch out for. And of course, they already sent out the invites to kids all across the country. But once again, it's a very, very important time for not only for LSU baseball, but also for LSU football during the off season. And you got a 2-month period before those guys, the actual football members of the football team, some of them are already on campus doing summer classes, but went late July, early August is when everything starts coming full circle and you start to begin the 2025 season. But before we start talking about all of that, here is a message from the voice of college football himself.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account Settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the voice of college football.
And we're back. So let's dive right into some baseball talk. If you guys haven't seen my video earlier today, I did an immediate reaction video to LSU getting the number 6 seed. I talked about, why I wasn't shocked about LSU getting the top 8 seed, and also kind of gave a brief outlook on the regional and who LSU will possibly play in the super regional. Of course, we all know they're matched up with the Clemson, who's the number 11 seed. And so I kind of discussed, really it was the best possible outcome for LSU, because we all know about the struggles they've been having as of late, despite winning games. But we all know, you don't want those issues leading to postseason play, and right now it seems like they are. But this is the second time in 3 years that LSU is a top 8 seed. I think from 2018 to 2022, that was about 4 or 5 year stretch where LSU didn't host a regional, right? So it's been a long time coming for LSU. It's really showing you how much they've come back to the elite of college baseball. It's been a little while. It was a little while, and of course, Jay Johnson did a great job. He already had a great thing going, right? He walked in with Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan, all those guys, but he just made it better, right? In a sense, just added a few more pieces, and then bang, LSU, of course, and by year 2 is the national champions in college baseball. And also, I also mentioned LSU is paired with number 11 Clemson, the super regional, but I don't know if Clemson could even make it out of the regional. Like I said at the beginning of the show, they have West Virginia, they have and they also have Kentucky in the regional as well. Those are 2 solid programs. I know Kentucky's had an up and down year, and West Virginia has 41-14, and it's still a very good regional and a really tough regional. If LSU was in that regional, I'd be kind of scared. Let's just say that. But right now, so if you look at the regional for LSU, actually, let me share this with you guys real quick to kind of give a better idea what's going on, who LSU has to play. As I mentioned earlier in the show earlier today, that LSU will play Little Rock, which is this Trojan logo right here. They will play, I believe it was a 2:30, Zach, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
SEC Network. They actually got television treatment, not streaming. So good on LSU. They know the brand. The brand is strong with LSU baseball.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they are the brand of college baseball. I mean, you can make a case of them a successful college baseball program in the history of the sport. I mean, I know a lot of people say it's going to say USC because they've won the most, but LSU's won 7 national championships since 1986, and they're the biggest brand in college baseball. I mean, if you think about some of the best players in MLB right now, Paul Skeens is one of them. He played for LSU, although he started his career at Air Force, ended up at LSU, and had a phenomenal year in 2023. But there's a lot of but there's also a good bit of players that still play in MLB. DJ LeMahieu, the Nola brothers, Bregman, of course, that's one of the big ones. There's been a lot of players that played for LSU that are still playing in majors. You never really saw that with Skip, right? There's only 2 that come to mind that I know played in MLB for a very long time under Skip, and that was Ben McDonald, and then also Albert Bell, who was known as Joey Bell when he played at LSU, or I think it's vice versa. And by the way, Joey Bell, he's a forgotten name. Like, me and my little brother were kind of looking up his stats. I think it was like a couple of days ago, and he was supposed to be the MVP that year where the MLB shut down because of a strike. Zach, you hear me?
Yeah, he's arguably LSU's best ever MLB player.
Yeah, in terms of resume, yeah. I mean,
we'll see how Skeens ends up, and Bregman's had a really good postseason run, but Bell for a very long time, and maybe even after Bregman is done, might still be the standard bearer for pro-turned former Tigers.
Yeah. Definitely. And be going back to the regional, and then so if LSU wins that game, and they likely will, like I said, I think I said before the show, and I saw this tweet from Charles Hannegriff, but Haney said that if you Little Rock has lost 12 of their last 13 games heading into their conference tournament. They're the Ohio Valley Conference tournament champions. Here we go. Prior to the Ohio Valley tournament, they had lost 13 of their last 14 games. Their last series, they got swept by Southeast Missouri by a combined 43-8. Then they won 5 straight to get to an NCAA bid.
I wrote about them on the Valley Shook. I did about 900 words. Look, it's sports and anything can happen. And LSU has lost 2 small schools before. They lost to Stony Brook. They lost to Coastal Carolina. But look, man, this is a bad Little Rock team. And maybe LSU could very well lose this regional. But if they lose this regional, it's going to be to, DBU or Rhode Island. There's no scenario in my mind that exists where LSU loses to Little Rock. Little Rock, I'm looking at it here. Their RPI is 243. The strength of schedule 243. They do have a win over Ole Miss and Oxford, so they do have that going for them. But the following week they went to Arkansas for 2 games, and Arkansas beat them 14-0 over the span of 2 games. So the staff ERA is 6.33. They bat 271. Fielding percentage of 969, which that's not good. That they don't do a lot of things well, but they won 5 games in 4 days. They beat Eastern Illinois, the regular season champions of the OVC. They beat them twice in 3 days or 2 days. So they're playing their best ball. So we saw Fresno State run away with this thing in 2008. Ole Miss in 2002 was the last team in. They were the last team standing. It's baseball. Weird things have happened. All that said, LSU probably could throw whoever they want to Friday afternoon and get to the winner's bracket relatively fine.
Yeah, and also want a full disclaimer on Stony Brook. Stony Brook did win 50 games that year. Like they're a very solid program. Although LSU probably should have won that series. They were a very good team themselves. I believe going into the NCAA tournament, they had won over 40 games. So they were solid. I think actually they were the first – actually, I actually just pulled up right here. But they were the 4th seed in the Coral Gables regional. Yeah. And they beat – and in that regional, you had a ranked Miami team and a ranked UCF team. They had 2 solid programs that they ended up beating to advance to the Boundaries Regional. And then, of course – they lost. They actually lost the first game in 12 innings, 4-5, but then won the next 2. So they're a solid program, give or take. And then, of course, Coastal Carolina team that LSU lost to
won the whole thing.
The Super Regional, they won the whole thing. And ironically, guess who they beat in the finals?
Jay Johnson in Arizona.
So they're like the 2 teams we like to mention for mid majors. Oh, I'm getting flashbacks to this and like. Those 2 teams are very good. Like I don't see Little Rock beating LSU. I just don't. And if they do, I will be very worried. We'll explain that a little bit about that in a little bit. But going off of Little Rock, I'm just kind of looked up the stats. They do have some solid players. Cooper Chaplin has batted 321 with 67 hits, 6 doubles, a triple, and 7 homers. The homers, he's hit the most homers on his team. He also leads the team in batting average. So he's arguably their most effective hitter. Cade Martin's also has batted well, 309, 11 doubles, 5 homers, 31 RBIs. Ryan Geck, 68 hits, 15 doubles, and 48 RBIs. And then Ty Rhodes, batting 296 on the year with 66 hits, 13 doubles, a triple, 8 homers. Actually, he leads the team in homers. Not Cooper Chaplin and 38 RBIs. And they're not a very good team. They just not. If you look at their pitching, their ERA is 6.38. So if LSU 6.33, when I think it was like 6.3. So they allowed 6.3 in terms of earned runs per game. If LSU doesn't get to 6 runs, I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm really worried because I think the biggest thing for LSU has been his hitting struggles, which we'll get to later. We'll go more into depth about that, but I think that's been a more glaring aspect of LSU's team rather than the bullpen. I think the bullpen's improving, and really around this time, this is when LSU's bullpen kind of finally comes around. So I'm not really worried about the bullpen. I'm worried about their hitting. But once again, it should be easy piece for LSU. Win game 1, get to game 2, and they will face the winner of Rhode Island and Dallas Baptist. Just a reminder, this is double elimination. So even if LSU loses game 1 or they lose or if they win the game 1 and lose game 2, they're still in it. Double elimination. But I think all you guys are very familiar with how it works. I mean, we're LSU baseball fans for crying out loud. But they'll face the winner of Rhode Island and Dallas Baptist. Let's start with Dallas Baptist first, Zach. And this is the team, really the only team you should be worried about all the teams because it is baseball. Anything can happen. But if you had a worry meter of 0 to 10, Dallas Baptist is like 7 or 8 because they're a very successful program. Mm-hmm. The athletic program is literally the baseball program. They're known for their baseball program. They're all their athletic programs. Their baseball program is the only one that's D1. So that lets you know how big of a deal their baseball program is to that university. They're the second seed in the Baton Rouge Regional. They're 40-16. This is their 11th straight appearance this is their 11th straight postseason appearance, and they've also appeared in 2 super regionals. I think their most recent one was in 2021. But they're also a very well-rounded team. They're top 25 in scoring, strikeouts per 9 innings, and field percentage. So it's a very, very good team. And if you look at some of the other statistics, they're usually in the top 75, top 60. Once again, very solid program. Also, Michael Buckham, former LSU Tiger, is also one of their better starters on the scene. I think he's I got to pull up their stats, but I think his record is 7-3 on the year. So he's been a solid pitcher for Dallas Baptist. But Zach, I know you wrote an article, but kind of previewing the Baton Rouge Regional. From looking at them, what are your overall thoughts about this Patriot team?
Well, this won't be the first time if they meet. This won't be the first time LSU sees Dallas Baptist. These two, of course, met in late February, early March. They met at Globe Life Field on a weeknight. LSU won that game 7-3, I believe, and Connor Ware got the start. And that was the type of game where I even wrote on the site, I'm glad that LSU challenged themselves to play a team like Dallas Baptist because DBU notwithstanding, LSU's non-conference strength schedule is so bad that Dallas Baptist is by far and away the best non-SEC team they played. This Dallas Baptist team won't be intimidated by the stage. Like you said, that they are a frequent NCAA tournament team. Now, we've seen the box get crazy, so maybe that might be too big of a stage for them. We'll find out. But also excited to potentially see, I believe, I think Hannegriff tweeted it. There's a chance that LSU could see Micah Bucknam probably in the winner's bracket game if they elect to hold him for the Rhode Island game, or maybe he can make a relief appearance on like a Monday if there's a game 7, if necessary, type of situation. You nailed it perfectly though. If there's any team in this region to be worried about, it's Dallas Baptist. Still would expect LSU to sweep through the regional, but if someone can beat this LSU team, it's DBU. Not sure they can do it twice, but they can definitely draw some blood from LSU this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. Actually looking at some of their players, they're kind of looking at some of the stats, but they are batting 304 on the year. So like I said, there's a very solid hitting team. They actually have 4 guys who have hit over 10 home runs. Their most effective hitter has been Nathan Humphreys, who is batting 360 on the year. He's had 77 hits, which is a team high, 16 doubles and 2 triples and 17 home runs. He also has 66 RBIs. And Zach, I want to look this up too. Look up the stolen base, because they have stolen a lot. But there's actually 4 guys on this team that have stolen 14 plus stolen bases. I'm not sure if you put that in your article or not, but they have the ability to steal bases. And from looking at it, they've stolen 104 bases on 122 attempts. So not only are they effective hitters, they are also very effective base runners, and they're not afraid to pull a fast one on you. And also their on-base percentage is .418, which is pretty solid as a team, regardless if they're mid-major or not. This is the best team that outside of LSU that is in this regional. This is a very dangerous team. They're not afraid to play the big boys. Like I said, in their athletic program, they're the only one that their baseball program is the only one that is a Division I program. So I mean, they're a very dangerous team. But Zach, if I'm LSU, like, how do I combat? I know their pitch staff has been awesome, but should we be worried about their bullpen against this very dangerous Dallas? But I know their bullpen's been getting better, but once again, that has been a kind of a concern about LSU throughout the season. Maybe not as much as their hitting problems, but how do you think this pitching staff will fare against this deadly Dallas Baptist offense?
I think it just depends on who Jay elects to start in the Little Rock game. Jay has a history of, I don't like when he does it, but he tends to throw, let's point to 2023. There was no reason to throw Paul Skeens against that really bad Tulane team, but Jay did it. Skeens went the distance. Was it overkill? Probably. But, the trade-off was Skeens saved your bullpen by going the distance. I am worried that he'll do that again this weekend, or on Friday, I should say. I'm worried that he'll I don't want to say needlessly, but he'll over enthusiastically, I'm not sure what the right word is, but I'm worried he's going to lean on Cade Anderson to beat Little Rock, when in reality, he's probably could be fine throwing, Jaden Newt and Chase Shores, like what they did in the Ole Miss game. That's probably good enough to get you home against Little Rock. I've noticed also DBU has a lot of left-handed bats, so I'm wondering, Jay likes to play matchups. Does he purposely save Cade Anderson for DBU for a potential winner's game and throw Ianson instead on Friday? He said after Hoover, when he threw Anderson and Ianson the same night, the reason we did this is so both guys would have their full allotment of rest and we could go either direction on Friday when the tournament starts. Kind of makes me wonder, did Jay know something was happening with the regional, with who they might be hosting? But if DBU does have such a lefty heavy lineup, that kind of makes me think that he'll buck the trend a little bit and hold Anderson for game 2. And if that's the case, if Anderson is the game 2 starter, I say you ride him until he can't. Basically, we've seen Anderson go the distance once before already at Oklahoma. The stakes are way higher this time around. You got to get to that 2-0 spot. You got to stay in the winner's bracket. So if Jay's watching this show, which I'm sure he is, he's one of the 33 people out there watching. Listen to me, Jay. I know ball more than you do, clearly. So let's ride Cade Anderson. Let's do lefty-lefty.
And I will say this too. I'm probably the only person that wasn't against Paul Skeens through game 1.
We argued about it. You and me argued about it.
Like I was okay with it, because for you to throw Paul Skeens out there, you were literally trying to be like, okay, look. Because usually it worked out well. If you looked at the certain factors, number 1, the bullpen has been so-so throughout the year because of the injuries you've had, right? Some guys had to change the rules and how they come out of the bullpen and whatnot. That's why you saw the bullpen struggle down the stretch. So you weren't sure how the bullpen was going to be. Number 2, Oregon State's pitching rotation was depleted because of injuries. Kind of the same thing with LSU, but on a much worse scale. And on top of that, Oregon State didn't have the same caliber of pitching staff that LSU did. LSU still had a very good pitching staff with Paul Skeens and Ty Floyd. But we also didn't expect Patrick Hurd to pitch like a boss. Like no one, I don't think anybody expected that. But really,
I didn't have 6 innings from Nate Ackenhouse in an elimination game projected out that season. Also, it's all hindsight too, but this time of year in Baton Rouge, the weather's really iffy, and weather disrupted that Oregon State game, and you burned Ty Floyd a little too early.
Sure,
so
too.
And
also the rain helped too. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh my God, that was horrible. I was there for hours, Zach. Hours.
What if you wasted Paul Skeens for like 4 innings, and then you're like, well, dang, we can't use him again because of the rain. So it all worked out, but I'm also wondering if that's partially like in Jay's head this weekend.
And that was the third. Now you've mentioned that was also. I remember at the time when I was arguing with you, that was the third thing you mentioned, the weather. Like, might as well throw out both games while it's sunny, like, because you don't want to have it rain and then in the middle of Paul Skeens pitching, and you've already used maybe 2 or 3 bullpen guys. I mean, I think overall Jay's strategy worked. It was a ballsy one. Don't get me wrong, it was a ballsy one, but I agree. But I also agreed with it, right? Because at the time, you're trying to do whatever you can to get to Omaha, and they sure did. Of course, we all know what happened after that. But
I'm looking at the weather right now. Since we're talking about it, Friday, 40% chance of thunderstorms. Sunday, 40% chance of thunderstorms. Saturday seems okay. So I do wonder how much of the forecast Jay's paying attention to, and if that's going to dictate.
I'm pretty sure Jay will prefer it rain because we've seen what happens a lot the last few times it's rained, and miracles have happened. But anyway, let me go back to the stats, kind of go over this team a little bit more. Grady Keaton, batting 348 on the year with 57 hits, 13 doubles, 2 triples, and 3 home runs. Even though he's not really doesn't hit for power, he's a very good contact hitter and also has the ability to get on base. Also, 17 stolen bases on the year. Also, Chaden Krause, 344 on the year with 74 hits, second on the team. 19 doubles, which is a team high, and 14 home runs. He also is very effective at stealing bases, 6 for 7 on the year. And then you also have Grant J, 322 on the year, 19 homers, which is a team high, 17 doubles to go along with the triple, 59 RBIs, and also is a very highly effective at stealing bases, 14 of 15 on the year. And of course, Joey Narrett also is highly effective at stealing bases, 18 stolen bases on 19 attempts. Once again, Dallas Bats is not only very good at hitting and getting on base, but they're also highly effective of stealing bases. So that is something that LSU's catchers need to be on high alert. And I really like LSU's catchers this year. I trust them. But once again, this is a very tricky Dallas Baptist team that is a very well-rounded team. And if you look at the pitching, of course, we already mentioned Micah Bucknam. He's 6-1 on the year. Has started all 12 of his appearances, 78 strikeouts and 59.2 innings pitched. You also have Ryan Borberg. He's 8-4 on the year. He also had 73 strikeouts and 75 innings pitched. Has allowed 70 hits. And you also have to take a look at James Ellwanger. He's 4-2 on the year, 3.81 ERA, has 90 strikeouts, which leads the team in 59 innings pitched. And if you want to take a look at some of the bullpen guys on the team, Tyler Schott, 19 appearances, 265 on the year. He actually leads the team in ERA in terms of if you look at the number of appearances, and his 24 strikeouts and 17 innings pitched. Mason Peters leads the team with 4 saves. He's 4-2 on the year with a 4.70 ERA. He also has 54 strikeouts on the year and 38.1 innings pitched. Expect to see a lot of them come out. Expect to see him this weekend in Baton Rouge. You also probably want to take a look at Jared Jenkins. He's appeared in 21 games, which is the most in this pitching rotation. So they like to use him a lot out of the bullpen. He has a 5.14 ERA, which is a little high, but once again, they like to use him a lot because he's made 21 appearances on the year, which is the most on the team. He also has 48 strikeouts and 49 innings pitched. but he's also allowed more hits than innings pitched, 56 hits in 49 innings pitched. So once again, well-rounded team. They are top 20. They're actually 16th in strikeouts per 9 innings. Highly effective team. And this is a team that you should be on alert if you're LSU. You also can't forget about Rhode Island, although I don't think I'm as worried about Rhode Island. Zach, can you give us some insight about Rhode Island if you have some?
DBU is just so much better than them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think this really is, and I'm not trying to disparage Rhode Island and Little Rock, but this really it's a 2-horse race between DBU and LSU. And I'd be shocked if LSU ends up playing Rhode Island at any point in this game. If LSU plays Rhode Island, either they got upset by Little Rock or Rhode Island upsets DBU. But I just can't foresee a situation where they play. Are they the Rams out of the A10?
Yeah.
I just can't see it.
And to give some respect to Rhode Island, they're 38-20 on the year. They're the Atlantic 10 conference champions, so they're a very good team. They're actually probably they're obviously better than Little Rock. And we're giving a lot of light on Dallas Baptist, of course, because I think a lot of people are, and that's the team I think everyone down here is expecting the Tigers to play. But it's just that's how it. I feel like that's the team that LSU will most likely play rather than let's just say Rhode Island, just because we think Dallas Baptist is a very good team. However, look, anything can happen in the sport of baseball, and I'm actually going to look up their stats right now. But look, they're a very good team as well, right? They're batting 309 on the year, which is pretty solid. Actually, they have a better batting average than Dallas Baptist. Reese Maroney, Anthony DePino, Eric Genther, and Jack Hopko and Brody McKenzie are all batting over 300. So they have 5 batters who are hitting over 300. And also, they can hit the long ball. Anthony DePino has 19 home runs. Jack Hopko has 15 home runs. DJ Perrin has 15 home runs. They have the ability to hit the long ball. They have hit 85 home runs on the year. So they're a very good hitting team. And of course, if you look at their pitching, they have a 6.20 ERA. So I think they're probably a better hitting team than they are a pitching team. But once again, this Rhode Island team is very good. Obviously, they won the conference championship. They won their tournament championship this season. So congratulations to Ram. I also want to highlight them a little bit just because it seems like we're disrespecting them when we're not. We just really expect LSU to play Dallas Baptist. But I just said Rhode Island's a very good hitting team, and also anything can happen in baseball, in the sport, let alone whether it's professional, whether it's college, high school, youth baseball, you name it. But anyway, Zach, we've kind of highlighted LSU's problems before. But what is one thing, or even a couple of things, that LSU must do to survive in the regional? But really, not even just for regional, but to get to Omaha.
I would try this thing where you score runs.
But you have to hit the ball. That's
1, 2.
Yep.
2 hits. 2 hits against Ole Miss. Not 2 runs. 2 hits.
Yeah.
4 total runs in 18 innings in Hoover. One of those hits that they gave, so it was 6 total hits in 2 games. And one of those hits was clearly an error. I don't know how the scorer called that. It was on the Ethan Fry double. They gave him a double, and the ball hit A&M's outfielder in the glove, and he just dropped it. But whatever, man, we roll. I can't understand why this lineup can't hit outside of Baton Rouge. Now, luckily, you don't have to worry about that for the next couple of weekends, or assuming there is going to be a next weekend in the Supers. It's staggering how much worse they are hitting the ball in a neutral or opposing venue. You and I have been to Omaha, and that is Baton Rouge North, but and I hope that carries over, because if it's not, for whatever reason. I don't get it. I don't get how playing a Ole Miss team that's throwing a freshman midweek starter, why he handcuffs you for however many innings. I don't remember how long the outing was, but I just keep coming back to 2 hits. I don't understand how the kid's name was Fresh Corn for A&M, how he throws 3.1 perfect innings out of when A&M is playing their 4th game in 4 days. I just –
it ain't as pitching staff isn't that, I wouldn't say are world beaters either. I mean, they're an average pitching staff at best, and else you can hit off.
Now, and maybe you could say, oh, well, A&M was playing for their postseason lives, and Ole Miss was playing for a host, and maybe LSU was just took the foot off the gas. But no, man, like, y'all are competitors, and that also doesn't explain away how the offense has been in a rut for 5-6 weeks now. Like, this is, and it's ironic, when you think Jay Johnson teams, you think offense, and right now the offense is stuck spinning its wheels. So this, as much as I've been dismissive of, oh, it's Little Rock, hey, man, those bats don't show up. Little Rock, especially the team that's been playing really good ball, 5 wins in 4 games, they're riding high, they're hot. And like right now on, what's today, May 26th, am I convinced that LSU, if it gets into a home run derby, can they outslug DBU? I don't know right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Now, I actually did some research on this over the, I think it was, yesterday. I was kind of looking at the stats of the 2 games in the SEC tournament, and these 3 things kind of stood out to me the most. If you look at LSU's overall hitting, let's start with this. If you look at LSU's overall hitting, of course, we all mentioned the 2 hit game against Ole Miss. It really might be 5 hits, but it doesn't matter. They went 6 for 54 from at the plate.
We did the
6 of 54. That's 111, 0.111, right? And your ideal batting average, right, when you think of it as a team, you want to be around 300, as close to 300 as possible, right? You batted 111, and let's just say, Zach, because I know you mentioned the hit that should have been an error, but it was ruled a hit. And if you take away that 1 hit, that's 5 of 54. Well, actually, it would be 5 of 53. If you did the same thing, it would be 0.94.
My God!
And those 2 games, if you said that it should have been an error, they would have batted 0.94 on the weekend.
Oh my God!
One of those games was against an average pitching staff against A&M. And it's not like, oh, well, they're struggling against good pitching staffs. They literally went up against Auburn's pitching staff and A&M's pitching staff in good and hit lick. South Carolina, another average pitching staff, maybe bad. Or they don't have a great pitching staff either. They couldn't hit worth a crap. And those are things that worries me more than the bullpen, right? Look, the bullpens are always going to give a run. They're going to give up a run here and there. They're the bullpen. There's a reason why they're not the stars, but they're guys you rely on to get you out of a tricky situation, not guys who can pitch for long distances, right? Lucky for LSU, you have 2 guys in Cade Anderson and Anthony Ice that can literally take over a game by themselves to the point where you don't have to bring in those bullpen guys. But the issue in those games where they're balling out, LSU can't hit worth a crap. Right? There's been so many times where LSU had to score runs in the 8th and 9th inning for them to even be in a game. Yeah. And you shouldn't have to. You can't do that. I get sometimes if that happens in baseball, it's going to happen in baseball. But the problem is it's happened too often. And when you get in the postseason play, you're going to be going up against better pitch staffs than the one you're going to see during the regular season. It's postseason baseball. Now, I expect the starting rotation to be awesome. I expect the bullpen to be great going into postseason play because that's how it's always been under Jay Johnson. The bullpen always gets better as you get later into the season. But the issue is the bats haven't come through, and that's not necessarily in Jay Johnson whatnot. And because Jay Johnson has always had great batters wherever he may go, whether it was at Arizona, whether it's been at LSU, and even when he was assistant coaches, the offenses were always great. And look, the offense is still great in some aspects, right?
Yeah.
They can still produce runs, but the problem is they're not hitting on a consistent basis, and the guys you expect to be good hitters aren't producing. Like we've mentioned that, what's his name? Monster Milam.
Stephen Milam's hitting like 200 in SEC games.
Yeah, I mean he's been disappointing all throughout. I mean, really, not only just in SEC play, but all throughout the season. Right now, Stephen Milam's batting 277 on the year, but look, if you look at the total statistics, counting everything, all the games together, you have 5 batters are hitting. You have 6 batters that are hitting 300, right? And that's pretty good, right? Look, they're like again, they're very solid. They all are very solid hitters. But the issue is once you get into SEC play, and let's see if they have it here, because they might have taken it off since then. Where is it? Because they usually have the SEC. There you go. And SEC, no, they don't have it anymore. But for a while in SEC play, LSU, they only had 1-2 guys were hitting 300, and usually that was Chris Stanfield and Derek Curiel.
Yeah,
right. And I don't know where they put the SEC total stats right now. Because usually they used to have it up there with the total stats, but Zach has been bad. They've been bad in SEC play.
Yeah, Jones is starting to chase a little bit again. He's kind of falling into those bad habits. We've said our piece about Milam being a 200-ish hitter in SEC play, but they've been better at home. And guess what? You're probably going to be home for the next 2 weekends. Is that enough to wake up and get back hot again? Maybe. I can't say that I'm super confident in that, but a good way to bust out of a slump is, again, not trying to disparage Little Rock, but if there was ever a team to wake up against, it's going to be Little Rock Friday afternoon. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
definitely. If they can't score 6 or 7 runs against Little Rock, I'm going to be worried.
Yeah. I mean, you should, and you even go into super regional. Let's say hypothetically you play a team like Clemson. I'm not sure if I think how Clemson should get out of the regional, but that again is a very tough regional. But Clemson is a very good team, right? They've been a seeded team the last couple of seasons, and they also have a great coach, in Bacchus. Right? Bacchus has done a great job at both, not only at Clemson, but he also led Michigan to the World Series championship where they ultimately lost against Vanderbilt. Right, and he exceeded expectations of Michigan, and of course has brought Clemson's baseball team back to prominence. And Clemson. If you look at Clemson's baseball tradition, they've always had some really great teams, but they can never get over the hump. And Bacchus could do that with Clemson, but you don't want LSU to be that team. And when LSU's have these issues right now with the bats, it's not great. It's not a great situation to be in, especially when you get into postseason play. Right, usually you expect LSU, okay, hey, look, they're improving this back. We want to see them improving in certain aspects, but all throughout conference play and even that SEC tournament, they've been struggling at the plate, right? So the fact that we're even still talking about this going into postseason play is really concerning, and they have to right the ship really fast because if they keep having these problems, they're not going to be in Omaha, period.
And if they do, they might go 2-Q with the quality of pitching that they would likely face in Omaha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But anyway, kind of moving off to baseball, we'll have more content about LSU's baseball all throughout the weekend, of course, one of the best times of the year. Now let's dive into some recruiting tidbits. But Zach, we are entering the beginning of, I would say the beginning of the offseason. Of course, it's been the offseason for a while. But we're getting into the nitty and gritty of the recruiting season, Zach. And as it is the end of May, right? We'll be entering a new month this week, actually. It'll be June 1st, sooner than you know it, and is already approaching. I'm kind of getting scared how time has flown by really fast. But when you get to June, that's when colleges around the country, including LSU, have their camps. And they invite kids from all across the country, but also kids who aren't even invited to camps also come to the camps as well. Hopefully, maybe to get seen. And LSU, they'll be having the camps all throughout June. They'll have their kicking camp June 3rd. But really, the big camps are the 2 elite camps. You got 2 elite camps, one on June 5th, one on June 12th. That's usually around the time where LSU starts offering kids around the country. And there's been a lot of times where kids have gotten offered literally a mere hours after the camp's over. One of them being Darius Gray, who is a 5-star interior offensive lineman from Richmond, Virginia. And he actually got an offer the day of the camp because the coach saw him in person. And boom, he got an offer. And of course, now he's actually right now favored to go to LSU, according to Steve Wolfbon of On3. And that's very good. That's very good to hear. And he'll also be having a official visit to LSU sometime in June, probably even for the official visits. But once again, the elite camp is on June 5th, and then their second will be on the 12th. And also you have their 7-on-7 and offensive defensive line camp on June 7th as well. And I'll be there all three of those days, right? The elite camp, the 2 elite camps, and the 7-on-7, Zach. But that's not the only thing I want to share with you guys. But LSU will also have some major news. Of course, 2 guys who LSU is heavily interested in. They are both will be both making decisions to commit, whether it's to LSU or numerous other schools that they'll choose where they'll spend their next 4 years or 1 or 2, depending on how it works over there. Because of course we are in the advent of the transfer portal. But 2 guys, where is my list? I created a list, but the 2 guys that LSU are going after, and I had a list, Zach. Let me pull it up for you, Zach. But Zach, this is the month of June, and this is around the time where, commitments start to happen. Usually, a lot of times, this is where the bulk of commitments happen during the offseason.
Yeah, I believe Lamar Brown, isn't he committing July 4th? So I know it's still a little bit of a ways away, but Lamar Brown should be popping in a couple of weeks. They are hosting, I'm blanking on the kid's last name, but is it Bo Bentley, the quarterback?
Bentley, yep.
Texas? I understand that he flipped his visit schedule. So he's come to LSU first, but he's going to Oklahoma second. It was the other way around. Do you make anything of that?
Well, I think maybe usually it's more ideal to have your this be the second team, because
you get the final say,
But the fact that he flipped around to LSU lets me know that LSU is the number 1 team right now on his list. I mean, there's only him in Oklahoma, right? It's only LSU and Oklahoma. It comes out of 2 schools, but we all know LSU needs a quarterback from the class of 2026. You need at least 1 quarterback per recruiting class, and we know LSU is desperately looking for their class of 2026 quarterback. And of course, the reason why LSU doesn't have a quarterback from the class of 2026 as we speak is because Bryce Underwood was committed to LSU for like 10 months, right? And all the class of 2026 guys were like, well, he's going to be quarterback LSU. Like, I don't want to go there for obvious reasons because he was the number 1 overall prospect. But then early November, not early November, but in the month of November, he decides to flip from Michigan from LSU to Michigan, and now LSU's kind of like looking around for the class of 2026 quarterback. Luckily for LSU, they're able to get Michael Van Buren in the transfer portal, so that's good. I actually talked about why LSU may have the best quarterback room in the country. That's on one of the previous videos we did. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, but some in the last 2 days. But that's why. But Bo Bentley is very high on the list for LSU.
And from what I understand too about Bentley, his stock really exploded lately. So he kind of was a little bit under the radar, but now he's suddenly a top 5 quarterback in the whole country. So when you were saying a lot of these top 2026 quarterbacks were kind of getting scared off by it's Bryce Underwood, I may not start there for a while. Weirdly enough, Bentley's stock wasn't so high to, I guess, be intimidated by it. And then, just as fate would have it, suddenly there's a need at quarterback. And, oh, look at that. There's a top 5 quarterback next door in Texas. Fertile recruiting ground for you, obviously. I'm blanking on the area. That's more of like the Dallas area? Am I understanding that correctly? Where he's from?
Yeah, it's Selena, Texas, right outside Dallas. Yeah.
Okay. So that's, and obviously Norman's a little bit closer to home, but not dramatically. So that wouldn't make it a deal breaker. And plus, as crazy as it sounds, these days, I would probably rather, if I had a son, I would rather him be developed at quarterback U, Louisiana State University.
Yeah. But anyway, I actually was able to find it. It was actually in Google Chrome. For StreamYard, for whenever you do the podcast, I use Brave, but my tab was on Google Chrome. But anyway, Donovan Webb and Jamarian Carlton, who are both LSU targets, both set their commitment dates for July 2nd and July 10th. Donovan Webb's the safety from Panther Creek High School in Frisco, right outside the Dallas area. And of course, Jamarian Carlton is an edge rusher from Temple, Texas. Webb is slated to make a trip to Baton Rouge during his month of official visits to Kansas State, Ohio State, Michigan, LSU, and Notre Dame. Donovan Webb will be visiting LSU on June 13th, although keep in mind that LSU does have their elite camp, their second elite camp on June 12th. That's why I went over the elite camps to kind of give you guys an idea when LSU, when those guys visit, they might be coming to the camp. All right, so we might have an extra day or two to talk with LSU staff and then go the rest of the way. And then the week after that, he's going to Notre Dame. Donovan Webb is the number 41 safety in the country, according to On3's network rankings, and also the number 33 safety when you look at the composite ranking, which brings ESPN, Rivals, On3, and 24/7 all together. So basically, his average ranking. Ohio State is right now the favorite, going along with Notre Dame and Michigan in the mix, but once again, it's one of six, and there could be an upset down the road. We've seen that before, and so nothing is set in stone. Jamarian Carlton, is also in his top six, and joining LSU is Baylor, SMU, Texas A&M. Well, Texas A&M, and USC. He's 6'4", 230 pounds. He is the number 8 edge rusher in the country, and also is a top 50 prospect, not only in On3's rankings, but also the composite ranking, which is his average ranking. So he's a top 50 prospect. Carlton said that they have a rep. This is Carlton talking about LSU. They have a reputation with defensive linemen. LSU is a winning school. They push each other, and I like Coach Peoples a lot. He's a good guy, and I am looking forward to getting out there to spend time with him and Coach Brian Kelly. But in terms of his official, but this is what On3 says, that's his official visit agenda, which suggests he has been anticipated to likely stay in home state, Texas, for college with the Longhorns, as he's currently projected to go to Texas. But once again, LSU can make a move there. But that's some other recruiting news to watch out for as we really start to get into kind of the nitty gritty of the recruiting season, because as I mentioned, a lot of guys commit in June and July. And I also want to mention as well, like I said early in the show, Darius Gray will be visiting LSU this month as well. And I think we can see his commitment sometime during the summer. And then also LSU's made a few offers here and there. One of them being Isaiah Washington. He is an athlete. He's ranked as an athlete. He plays both ways for Haynesville. Haynesville is a small 1A school in northern Louisiana, like right on the Arkansas-Louisiana border. They are the winningest program in Louisiana history for you trivia nerds out there. And he probably will be playing at LSU as a safety. He plays both ways. He plays quarterback and a safety. So that kind of shows you his knowledge of the game on both ends of the field. So that's very valuable because, not only the quarterback, but you're also the safety. The safety is basically the quarterback of the defense along with the middle linebacker, because they have a better view of the middle linebacker because they see the receiver, the receiving stats as a whole, and blah, blah, blah. But also, not many big schools offer kids from Haynesville. So that kind of shows you what kind of athlete he is. And also, he is a track star. He was part of their 100-meter, I think it was 100-meter 4x100 meter hurdle relays. He was part of that state championship winning team as well. So he's also a track athlete. So that kind of shows you the type of athlete he is. But Zach, on the recruiting end, is there anything you want to add in?
Does he have any desires to run track at LSU? I'm genuinely asking.
That would be very interesting. I'm pretty sure that's a possibility because like I said, he is he's a track star over there at Haynesville too. So I can only imagine if the track coach might invite him to come run with the team, because if you get an offer by LSU as a football scholarship, they don't even have to offer because he's technically already an offer. Like for example, Deion Sanders played football, baseball, and track. And since I think he already had an offer, so I think his official scholarship offer, I think either came from baseball or track, and he joined the football team basically not as a walk-on, but they were able to use another scholarship elsewhere because he was already on scholarship offer from 2 other sports. So they're like, oh, we already got you. You're the number 1 quarterback in the country, and we don't have to waste a scholarship offer because we can use it on somebody else because you're already on scholarship. So I can imagine LSU track team invited him, and they can also save another scholarship offer. They can use it for somebody else as well, too. But like I said, I think that's a high possibility. Jelani Watkins is another great example.
Jelani Watkins, Trenton Holiday, Dante Jackson. Like this is, if you're going to do 2 sports, football and track is the most complementary 2 things. They don't conflict with each other.
Right, and I can also see the track team giving that scholarship to him, and maybe LSU's like, oh, let's use the scholarship offer on another kid, right? It saves another offer. So that's
roster shenanigans. Yeah.
Right.
And then you said with again, this is me just genuinely asking, with Gray, he's coming to visit soon. Is there a target commitment date for him that he set, or is that still kind of?
I did not look that up,
Okay.
but I know he's getting closer and closer to making a choice. This is usually around the time where a lot of guys make their choice, like right before the high school season. They kind of get it over with. And of course, the recruitment's ongoing, but I think I got to look it up. But I think it's coming soon if he did announce it.
I would, just based off that, what I've been understanding about his recruitment, I would expect LSU to land him despite him being from Virginia. Brad Davis gets a 5-star every year, it seems like, or not seems like, he does get a 5-star every year. So Brad Davis is turning LSU into an offensive line factory. You can point to, hey, I just had 4 guys get drafted, and with Carius Kern and Cohen Eccles and Tyree Adams and Weston Davis, the offensive line for the first time, maybe in my lifetime, maybe ever, at LSU is a genuine strength, which that was a calling card of Brian Kelly when he got hired here, and he has definitely delivered on that promise at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I know he's going to visit you, but I haven't seen anything from an official commitment date. But once again, he is being projected to come to LSU, and also I know he'll be taking a visit sometime in June to LSU as well, maybe possibly one of the camps. But anyway, Zach, that's going to wrap up our show today. You guys have a happy rest of your Memorial Day. We only got a few hours left, so make sure to enjoy it. I'm Grant Sashray, Zach Junda. We are the co-hosts here on LSU at the Voice of College Football Network. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and click on the bell for any notifications about future shows, live shows, you name it. Because down the summer, I'm planning to have more guests come on the show as well to give their insights about what's going on, not only with LSU football, but LSU sports around the board. Thanks you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next Monday.